Imagine sitting in a pitch-black movie theater, utterly consumed by a film. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and in that fleeting moment, the world on the screen is the absolute only thing that exists. You completely forget the underlying truth. All the overwhelming emotions and images in front of you are just a masterclass in optical trickery. Invisible beams of light projected onto a flat, lifeless canvas. Now, pause and look around you right at this very moment. The room you are sitting in, the device you are holding, and even your own flesh and blood. What if I told you that this entire reality operates in exactly the same way? A breathtakingly elaborate projection of light and hidden information, flawlessly masquerading as a solid, physical world. Welcome to the ultimate mystery of existence. This isn't sci-fi philosophy or the plot of a Hollywood movie. This is a tantalizing conclusion born from the bleeding edge of quantum physics and neuroscience. Some of the most brilliant minds in the history of science, when digging into the very fabric of matter and the human mind, stumbled upon a staggering realization. Our universe, in every mathematical and physical sense, operates exactly like a giant, incredibly complex hologram. So, what exactly is a hologram? And why does this single concept have the power to completely shatter everything you think you know about life, death, and your own consciousness? To grasp the mind-bending nature of our universe, we first have to dismantle how a traditional hologram works. Most of us think of holograms as those shiny, pseudo-3D stickers on credit cards or glowing blue messages in sci-fi films. But the actual physics behind them holds a cosmic secret. A true hologram is created using lasers. Imagine you want to make a hologram of an apple. You take a single laser beam and split it in two. One half bounces off the apple and hits a photographic plate. The other half shines directly onto that same plate. When these two beams collide, they create an interference pattern, exactly like the overlapping ripples created when you throw two stones into a still pond. If you were to look at that photographic plate under normal room light, it would look like absolute gibberish. Just a meaningless, chaotic swirl of light and dark lines. It doesn't look like an apple at all. But the very second you shine another laser beam through this seemingly chaotic plate, boom! A flawless, fully three-dimensional image of the apple materializes in thin air. You can walk around it, viewing it from different angles. It looks so undeniably real that you'd want to reach out and take a bite, yet your hand would pass right through it. There is nothing solid there. That 3D mass is just light, orchestrated by hidden information. Yet, that is not even the craziest part. The most magical, reality-defying property of a hologram is this. If you drop that photographic plate and it shatters into 1,000 tiny shards, you do not lose the picture. If you pick up even the smallest, most jagged sliver of glass and shine a laser through it, you won't get a tiny fragment of an apple. You will still get the entire, intact, whole apple. It might be slightly fuzzier, slightly less detailed, but the complete macro image is undeniably there. Unlike a normal photograph, where cutting off a corner means losing that specific information, in a hologram, every single tiny part contains the exact information of the whole. The part contains the whole. Burn that phrase into your mind, because it is the master key to unlocking the greatest mysteries of human existence. For decades, we have falsely believed that everything in the universe is made of separate, isolated building blocks, like Lego bricks stacking up to make a house. Classical science has been utterly obsessed with cutting things apart, dissecting bodies into organs, organs into cells, cells into molecules, molecules into atoms. But the holographic principle tells us a violently different story. It suggests that division is a naive illusion, that at some deeply profound level, everything is invisibly connected to everything else. And the very first clue to this cosmic mystery came from right inside your own skull. Let's talk about your brain. Since the dawn of modern neuroscience, researchers have been on a relentless, frustrating hunt. The search for the exact physical location of memory. They reasonably assumed that the brain worked like a library, or perhaps a computer hard drive. They thought that the memory of your first kiss must be stored in one specific brain cell or a tiny cluster of tissue. The memory of the smell of your grandmother's cookies must live in another specific sector. They called these hypothetical physical traces of memory engrams, and they spent decades slicing, probing, and testing brains to find where these memories actually live. To find these localized memories, scientists conducted experiments on rats. They trained rats to run through incredibly complex mazes to find food. Once a rat had perfectly memorized the route, the scientists would surgically remove specific portions of the rat's brain, hoping to physically cut out the location where the maze memory was stored. But something absolutely impossible happened. No matter what section of the brain they sliced away, no matter how much neural tissue they removed, the rats never ever forgot how to run the maze. Their motor skills might have been impaired due to the trauma, but the memory itself remained beautifully intact. The memory could not be deleted by removing a piece of the biological hardware. This staggering mystery baffled the scientific community for years, until a revolutionary, paradigm-shifting model was finally proposed. What if memory isn't stored in one specific location at all? What if, exactly like a piece of holographic film, every single part of the brain contains the information of the entire network? Suddenly, the rat mystery was flawlessly solved. Memories are not boxed up in individual neurons. Instead, they are smeared, distributed, and enfolded throughout the entire brain in patterns of neural waves. Just like breaking the holographic plate, you can take away half the brain, but the remaining piece still retains the macro picture. The human brain doesn't just process holograms. The human brain is a hologram. This holographic brain model beautifully explains our seemingly superhuman capabilities. It perfectly explains how we are able to effortlessly store a staggering amount of information, the equivalent of billions of megabytes, over a lifetime. It explains how we can instantly recognize a familiar face in a crowded room in a fraction of a millisecond, sorting through millions of other memories seamlessly. Our brains are the ultimate frequency analyzing machines. The brain takes in a chaotic soup of frequencies, light waves, sound waves, textural vibrations, and mathematically translates them into the familiar, physical world we perceive. But here is exactly where the thin line between biological science and objective reality begins to blur into something terrifyingly beautiful. If our brains are utilizing holographic principles to interpret the world, what exactly are they interpreting? When we look at a tree, a mountain, or a distant star, we assume we are looking at objective physical matter. But under this new model, the physical world itself might not be real in the way we think it is. Our brains are not seeing the world as it is. Our brains are acting as biological lenses, converting invisible, formless quantum frequencies into a 3D reality. And to find the source of these frequencies, we have to go deeper, down to the absolute smallest, most microscopic level of existence. Welcome to the quantum realm, a microscopic dimension where the standard laws of physics completely collapse and the universe begins to behave like a hallucinogenic dream. For decades, quantum physicists have been wrestling with a specific phenomenon that fundamentally breaks every known rule of space and time. They call it quantum entanglement. At its core, it involves taking two subatomic particles, like electrons, and creating a bond between them. Once you separate these twin particles, even placing them at absolute opposite ends of the known universe, something utterly impossible happens. If you alter the spin or state of particle A, particle B instantly reacts and changes its spin to match. There is absolutely zero time delay. No signal travels between them. The change is simultaneous. Even if you placed particle A on Earth and particle B on the extreme opposite edge of the Milky Way galaxy, hundreds of thousands of light-years away, particle B would still react in the exact same millisecond that particle A is touched. This phenomenon shattered the bedrock of physics. Albert Einstein famously hated this idea, dismissing it as spooky action at a distance. Why? Because the theory of relativity states that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light, not even information. If these particles were secretly communicating across galaxies faster than light, it meant the core foundation of modern physics was wrong. It was inexplicable, unless we were looking at the problem entirely the wrong way. What if these particles aren't sending signals to each other at all? What if the vast distance between them, the very concept of space itself, is nothing more than an optical illusion in our minds? A highly visionary quantum physicist proposed a radical paradigm shift to solve this paradox. To understand his mind-bending theory, you have to imagine a fish tank. Imagine an aquarium containing exactly one fish. Now, imagine you're not allowed to look at the aquarium directly. Instead, you're sitting in a separate room, looking at two television monitors. Monitor 1 displays a live feed from a camera positioned at the front of the tank. Monitor 2 displays a feed from a camera positioned at the side of the tank. As you sit there staring at these two TV screens, you are unaware of the camera setup. You just see two distinct visual feeds. As you watch the screens, you will eventually notice something bizarre. You genuinely believe you are looking at two different, separate fish. But every time the fish on monitor 1 turns, the fish on monitor 2 makes a corresponding movement. When the front-facing fish swims forward, the side-facing fish moves sideways. If you didn't know any better, you would swear that these two distinct fish were telepathically communicating, coordinating their movements instantaneously, faster than light. But you know the ultimate truth. There is no instantaneous communication because there are not two separate fish. There is only one fish. What you are seeing on the monitors are just different two-dimensional projections of that exact same dynamic, unified three-dimensional entity. This is exactly what is happening with subatomic particles during quantum entanglement. The electrons at opposite ends of the universe are not talking to each other. They are not separate at all. At a deeper, hidden level of reality that we cannot directly perceive, those particles are mere extensions of the exact same fundamental object. The universe, in this view, is divided into two distinct layers. There is the explicate order, the unfolded physical world we experience daily, where things appear to be completely separate. You are there, I am here, the moon is up there. But beneath that lies the implicate order, a deeper, enfolded realm where everything is seamlessly blended into an indivisible, unbroken wholeness, a giant cosmic hologram. Still sound confusing? Picture a cylindrical tube filled with clear, highly viscous glycerin fluid. You drop a single, distinct droplet of blue ink into the glycerin. Now, you slowly turn a crank to rotate the cylinder. As you spin it, the ink drop is stretched out, gets thinner, and seemingly disappears entirely into the clear fluid. The ink has been enfolded into the glycerin. It is in the implicate order. If you stop, you cannot see the ink. It appears to no longer exist. But here is the magic trick. If you rotate the cylinder in the exact opposite direction for the same amount of turns, the blue ink perfectly coalesces, gathers together, and reappears fully intact. It unfolds into the explicate order. Quantum science suggests this is precisely how our physical world operates. The particles making up your body, the chair you're sitting on, even the air you breathe, they are constantly unfolding into physical existence and then enfolding back into this invisible, hidden ocean of energy. Trillions of times every single second. Reality is not solid at all. It is more like a continuous, flashing strobe light of creation. And because everything emerges from this exact same deep, implicate order, absolute separation is a lie. At your most fundamental core, you are not disconnected from anything else. The carbon in your DNA, the iron in your blood, are physically and literally woven from the same holographic fabric as the dirt on Mars or the heat of a distant, exploding star. You do not live in the universe. You are the universe, temporarily experiencing itself in a human form. And if physical space is merely an illusion, if there is genuinely no such thing as here and there in the holographic blueprint, then a much grander, more terrifying illusion collapses. Time. In our everyday, unfolded world, we experience time as a smooth, linear arrow. Past, present, and future. We cannot rewind to yesterday, and we cannot fast forward to tomorrow. But in a hologram, time itself is not directional. It is enfolded. In the extreme depths of the implicate order, the entire timeline of the cosmos is not happening in sequence. It is embedded all at once. Think of a DVD disc containing your favorite movie. You watch it scene by scene, experiencing a beginning, a middle, and an end in chronological order. But on the physical disc itself, the ending already exists simultaneously with the opening credits. If our reality is truly holographic, then the concept of linear time is just a biological byproduct created by our brains. A survival mechanism. If the past and future are already encoded in the cosmic hologram, then sudden glimpses of the future, what we call precognition or gut feelings, are no longer supernatural magic. They are simply rare moments when our brain's frequency accidentally tunes into a different section of the holographic disk. You aren't seeing the future. You're just reading data that is already inherently there. This brings us to the most universally empowering and perhaps terrifying aspect of the holographic paradigm. If the physical universe is not a rigid, unyielding structure, but a fluid, holographic projection, what exactly is projecting it? The answer is consciousness. Your mind is the laser beam illuminating the photographic plate of reality. Think about the placebo effect. A patient is given a literal sugar pill, but they genuinely, deeply believe it is a miracle cure. Their body responds by completely healing a physical, measurable disease. In a classical, mechanical universe, this makes zero sense. But in a holographic universe, the mind and the body are not separate entities. A strong enough belief alters the holographic blueprint, literally reshaping the physical form. This also beautifully explains synchronicities, those incredibly meaningful coincidences that seem far too perfect to be random. thinking of an old friend seconds before they call you. Finding the exact book you drastically needed randomly left on a park bench. In a universe where everything is intimately connected in the implicate order, there are no true accidents. Every event is a purposeful ripple in the exact same cosmic pond. It even shines a profoundly comforting light on what happens when we die. For centuries, near-death experiences have been coldly dismissed as the chemical hallucinations of a dying brain. But if the brain is actually just a biological receiver, a fleshy radio tuning into the holographic broadcast of consciousness, then destroying the radio does not destroy the broadcast. When the physical body eventually shuts down, consciousness doesn't suddenly extinguish into nothingness. It simply detaches from the physical receiver and folds back into the implicate order, the master source code of everything. Death is not the end of the line. It is merely a transition of state, a waking up from the 3D illusion and seamlessly returning to the infinite whole. So, what does all of this mean for you as you wake up tomorrow, drink your morning coffee, and go about your aggressively normal day? It means you are not a helpless, insignificant victim in a cold, dead, mechanical universe. You are an active co-creator in a living, breathing, constantly responding cosmic matrix. Every single thought you hold, every emotion you feel, and every intention you set is a specific frequency. And those frequencies are actively interacting with the quantum hologram, pulling infinite possibilities out of the invisible implicate order and collapsing them right into your physical reality. You're painting your world into existence every single second. Furthermore, realizing the holographic nature of reality is the ultimate catalyst for human empathy. When you truly, deeply understand that absolute separation is a biological illusion, the way you treat others fundamentally changes. To harm another person is literally, scientifically, to harm another aspect of yourself. To love another is to love yourself. We are all just different, subjective nerve endings of the exact same universal mind. The next time you look up at the night sky, don't just see a vast, empty void filled with distant, dead rocks. See a mirror. You're looking at a magnificent, infinite hologram, and every single star is folded neatly inside your own chest. The universe isn't out there. It is in here. The boundaries of your reality are only as solid as you actively believe them to be. The illusion is incredibly convincing, beautifully designed, and absolutely meant to be experienced. But never, ever forget that it is a projection. You are the light. You are the film. You are the whole. Thank you for exploring the extreme depths of reality with us. Until next time, question everything and stay infinitely curious.